The things that have been happening this Monday afternoon.
Today is Monday, April 24th, and during our prep work today, we've come to the conclusion that today will forever be known as April 24th is Jerk Firing Day?
Jerk firing day. I definitely think that there's been a precedent set. There's been some nationally recognized jerks getting fired today.
I mean, so today, from now on, if you got to do it, you got to clean the house Monday or whatever, April 24th. But today's Monday, April 24th, you get rid of them. Now, during the collaborative creative process, we actually came up with different name for today, but we couldn't use those.
The FCC would object.
So it is Jerk Firing Day. Welcome. And the game will play today as we delineate, identify, line up, tell you who all the jerks today who got fired. Who would you like to see fired? 844-967-2789. Maggie, there's lots of jerks that got fired today. You are the guest of honor.
Ooh.
Who would you like to discuss first?
Wow. Well, there's such a lovely variety of jerks today.
Plethora?
Yes, it sort of depends. Do you want to start, within the media or within sports?
Ooh.
And do you want to start on the right or the left end of the dial?
Well, I mean, this is Wisconsin.
Yes.
And we do love sports here in Wisconsin.
We do love some sports.
We especially love our Green Bay Packers. All right, let's go there. Maggie Daun, Aaron Rodgers traded from the Packers to the Jets. It is official.
Yes, well, just ask him. He's immune or what?
Immunized.
Immunized.
Yes, I'm
immunized from any sort of criticism, right? I mean, goodbye, Aaron. This to me has been very, very long overdue. I grew up watching the Packers, and sort of buying into the whole mystique of the Packers, really going back to that most famous of all coaches, right? And I have to imagine that Coach Lombardi would have had a lot more choice words for Aaron Rodgers than did Matt LaFleur, right? And listen, we could spend a whole hour talking about this new breed of NFL coaches that are sort of the soft touch, especially with franchise QBs or extremely popular players. But at the end of the day, the guy's a liar, pants on fire. He's a total megalomaniac, total pathological narcissist. And unless you were one of his favorite receivers, who also happens to be with the Jets now, like he would have to be totally toxic in that locker room. So jerk number one from the NFL. Goodbye, Aaron. Nobody is going to miss you, or at least I won't be missing you.
Oh, Maggie, so critical. The four-time MVP, as reported in the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, Tom Silverstein.
That goes for most valuable prima donna.
Is that what it was?
I think so.
Happened on Monday. Packers agreed to deal Rodgers to the Jets for what is essentially 2 second-round picks, a second of which could become a first in 24. Here's what ESPN said. The Packers received pick number 13, a second-round pick, number 42, and a sixth-round pick, number 207, in this year's draft, plus a conditional 2024 second-round pick that becomes a first if Rodgers plays 65% of the plays this season.
Dun, dun, dun. Could you see Rodgers? I mean, this would be super on brand for Aaron Rodgers to exactly keep track of how many and come in at just 64% to spite the Packers. So on brand for Aaron Rodgers. I think there's going to be a lot of dissection of what the Packers got for this trade. Certainly getting a couple of pretty early second round picks is going to be powerful. And if they can parlay that, if Rodgers actually plays for the Jets and we get a good first round pick, that may very well be franchise changing sort of picks.
Yeah, right.
So, I'm no football expert, but it seems to be a pretty reasonable deal given the fact that he had lost all utility to the Green Bay Packers in this last season in spades, right? I don't think you could put together a cogent argument that Aaron Rodgers was on balance a plus to the Green Bay Packers organization this past season. So goodbye, Aaron. I am not sad to see you go.
The Jets will receive Aaron Rodgers, of course, pick number 15 and a fifth-round pick, number 170 this year. As reported, Packers are not only dealing their future Hall of Fame quarterback, but They're also ridding themselves of a contract that calls for Rodgers to receive a guaranteed $59.1 million in 2023.
Overpaid.
Right. So Aaron Rodgers is out. It is April 24th. It is jerk firing day. You can join us, 844-967-2789. That's the Wisconsin lead. That's Aaron Rodgers. But, of course, we all knew this was coming.
Not an if, but when. And, true to form, like Aaron Rodgers does, all Aaron Rodgers news gets broke on that lame podcast that he would use to talk about his ayahuasca use, his deep emotional, self-revelatory journey. I mean, talk about a guy who only knows how to talk about himself.
Oh, but that's self-help. I mean, you can't have self-help without the self, Maggie. I mean, I'm just saying.
I guess it's you just ask Aaron, it's all self all day, every day. Doesn't matter what team he'll go on and talk about his sensory deprivation chamber and the fact that he's friends with that dippy, like, I don't know, influencer guy that now thinks he's a boxer. I mean, what? Total distraction. I say good luck, Jets, or maybe not so much good luck. Enjoy what you've now reaped.
Yep.
Anybody hearing weird echoes of Favre eventually ending up at the Jets?
Did we do this once before?
It's deja vu all over again, Yogi Berra would say. I just want him gone. I want him out of our league or division, I should say. I think he's a huge distraction for a franchise like the Packers. He also, I would suggest, was never a great culture fit, right? Like the part of the Aaron Rodgers story that always resonated a lot for the Packers was this guy that was sort of looked over and had a chip on his shoulder.
Right. He got picked way later than he thought it was gonna. Then he sat there and watched, waited his turn.
Watched.
Yep,
Yes.
Yep.
That story about Aaron Rodgers resonates with Wisconsin
Still
sports
does.
fans.
It's a great story.
Absolutely. I enjoyed that part of watching Aaron Rodgers really come to be a leader on the team. Everything after that first Super Bowl win has basically been an exercise in egomaniacal self-love for Aaron Rodgers and not very successful for the Packers. How many times did we think, well, this is the year?
Oh, so close all the time, but
this
never
is the
there.
year. And he seemed to very much fall apart in those critical games. And listen, if we're talking about firing jerks, right, which April 24th, National Fire the Jerks Day, one of the things, and I've talked about this on a number of shows, that you look for in leaders is that they step up and take responsibility. When the team loses, when the team takes a hit, when things aren't going well, they don't look to blame other people. They stand up in that void and say, I am ultimately responsible. I think the jerks that we're going to talk about today, that is the thing that they have most in common. Absolutely no sense of responsibility. They want to blame everybody but themselves for what are bad results, and then sort of watch the thing burning and go, what are you going to do about it? Right? I dare you to fix it. All three of the jerks today, people might want to throw in a jerk or two of their own.
lots of jerks out there, and some are justified. Today is April 24th. We have deemed it Fire the Jerk Day. Aaron Rodgers is first. And as expected, we knew this was coming, although it was drug out. But what we didn't know when we woke up today, what a lot of people didn't know, hell, what Tucker Carlson didn't know when he woke up today, that his last day at Fox News would have been Friday.
Thanks, Tucker. Goodbye.
Evan, I believe we have a little sound of Tucker. Is that from Friday? Maybe we could roll that up. I mean, it is kind of historical now. Tucker Carlson is out at Fox News as the Washington Post reports the apparently hasty parting. Carlson gave no indication he was leaving in his last nightly appearance on Friday, and the network was still running promos for his show Monday morning. What? Let's hear it, Evan. We got a little bit of time. Let's squeeze it in. Here's Tucker on Friday.
Up, we're loading. Just one sec. I'll get this going.
We'll get there. Don't worry.
It's historic. Be patient, people. People want to hear this. Tucker Carlson out at Fox News. Got it?
This is madness.
It's madness.
I'll get it together.
Madness.
We got 2 minutes. We're going to hear it before the break.
I love it.
844-967-2789. No, for real. Tucker Carlson out. And apparently the decision brought down on high. The man himself, Rupert Murdoch, made the call.
Logan Roy himself. You're out, Tucker. Goodbye. Pack up your stuff and hit the road. I have to say, absolutely shocked. I am floored by this. I would not have expected this. I thought we had seen Tucker Carlson absolutely at the very bottom of the barrel and then kicking out the bottom of the barrel to find new lows. Arguably, Tucker Carlson has been at the helm of the single most racist and misogynistic show on cable news in the history of cable news. And Fox News and Tucker Carlson cash those checks every day happily. They dared the American public to stop listening to that, and people weren't. They kept tuning in. To me, I am absolutely blown away that Rupert Murdoch would pull the chain on Tucker, which has to ask some questions about what other steaming piles are out there.
Well, that's the whole point. What we know, Maggie Daun, is that it's not about the blue or the red, it's the green. And what is it about their number one guy and their number one spot on their number one channel that he's out today? Join us in some speculation. Let's identify some other jerks that should be fired today. It's Aaron Rodgers. He's traded to the Jets, and Tucker Carlson, he's out at Fox News. We'll be right back.
Fox Nation, use the promo code ORIGINALS for 30 days free. And we'll be back on Monday. In the meantime, have the best weekend with the ones that you love.
Melissa from Michigan. I work an extra part-time job serving lunch at my child's school, but I still can't afford to put food on our table.
Daniel from California. Choosing whether to pay the rent or pay to fix the car to get to work doesn't leave us with much at all. Now we can't even pay for meals.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the whoops. Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Douglas LaFollette, welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show.
Good to be here, Mike. Across the country, in most every state, the sex-safe state is the person who is in charge of the election. And we've seen lots of hanky-panky in Florida back during the Al Gore elections, in Ohio and Georgia and Arizona and Michigan.
We appreciate you coming around, sir. Check out the entire podcast library at darnwi.com.
Fear you may be missing out? We're always streaming on TuneIn and the Civic Media app. Enjoy listening live or catch up by finding the podcast at civicmedia.us or wherever you enjoy listening to your podcasts.
Here's your Mad Radio forecast. Slight chance for scattered rain showers tonight, otherwise cloudy skies expected. Lows level off around 35, northeasterly winds 5 to 10 miles an hour. Slight chance for scattered showers tomorrow. Highs level off around 49. Overcast skies. Lows dip down to about 29 tomorrow night. Partly cloudy. Mid-50s Wednesday. Low 60s Thursday. For Civic Media, I'm meteorologist Eric Height. Currently, it's 48 degrees.
And we'll be back on Monday. In the meantime, have the best weekend with the ones that you love, and we'll see you then.
Here he is, the biggest douche of the universe. In all the galaxies, there's no bigger douche than you. You've reached the top, the pinnacle of douchedom. Good going, douche. Your dreams have come true.
When they go low, we get high. The Devil's Advocates.
And we are back from the 420 break. Thank you so much for listening to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Thank you, Evan. That was very amusing. Thank you, Maggie Daun, our guest devil today, hanging out in studios at the WAUK studios in Waukesha. Aaron Rodgers traded to the Jets today. Tucker Carlson fired from Fox News today. And that one, and now I did have a premonition, only because this guy Dan Bongino was fired from Fox maybe a few days ago. And we didn't really get there because I don't care. I mean, what I do know about that guy is like, how did he get this show to begin with? But okay, things come and go.
His qualifications, his performance.
Yes. Yes. His wonderful work-like attitude.
Yes.
But it seemed to be that was Bongino was fired after the Fox News settlement.
That's right. All this is breaking after the
million.
$782 million settlement. I posted immediately that, I can't imagine what getting to that number must have been like, right? Because the entire Fox News Corp brand and the Fox holding company's brand has been effectively never give any quarter, never give up, never concede, never apologize.
Yeah, just cut the check and walk away. So they've been able to do that. We look at the whole Fox News empire of Rupert Murdoch. I think the estimates, if I get this wrong and somebody fact checks me on the air, that's fine. Upwards of $15 billion. Some say closer and maybe even over $20 billion. But that is still a bit of a hard pill to swallow. $782 million. Now, of course, Fox not covering a whiff of that. But that is a sizable message. And I think the thing that gets Fox to that settlement, again, is the prospect of putting person after person after person in a witness stand. And then the thing that actually was more surprising to me than even the settlement was the fact that they weren't controlling what Tucker Carlson was saying on air while the Dominion lawsuit was proceeding. But they were controlling for some time what their media guy was saying on air. They wouldn't even let him talk about it for some time.
Right.
He finally addressed his lack of addressing it.
Right. Let me talk about the fact that I'm not talking about this. And put some context.
Does that make
around
me a
this.
good journalist? I'm not clear what the rules again are. Lots of people getting fired today. It was hard to imagine Rupert Murdoch coming into a courtroom and testifying. I mean, as an 80-some-year-old billionaire, I mean, that's how you're going to spend your last few million breaths that you have are going to be taken up by that. Really? I mean, when you can't scratch the check, why would you bother?
I think Rupert probably would have made a more coachable and reliable witness and easier to prepare and defend on cross-examination than most of the Fox News personalities. Maria Bartiromo is not the sharpest tack in the box. These people have become very accustomed to sort of just going off, and that unhinged TV commentary doesn't work in courtrooms, right? And you have then the very text messages and the counterpose of those versus what they were saying on air.
Yeah.
Now that would have made for some difficult answering of questions for Rupert, but that guy's really smart. Maria Bartiromo, not really smart. And all of those on-air personalities, it's like roll the tape, show the text, and then nail them on cross, right? That just becomes so painful.
Like Bartiromo, she's a true believer? I mean, I get it. Sometimes you get the mic in front of you, we're goofing around, where all of a sudden you get into a rant, and all of a sudden your mind just goes, and your mouth tries to keep up, and you hope you're FCC compliant, and you don't listen to the tape. So I get sometimes people can get caught up in a moment, perhaps. Is it your impression that these are the true believers? I don't know that. Because if you see what they say in the not on the air, it's hard to think that they are.
Well, I would put the Fox personalities into two distinct camps. I think there are those that clearly knew that all of this was made up fantasy that was being used to fuel continuing donations to Trump's autocratic re-election campaign and his autocratic attacks on the integrity of the 2020
and they
election.
were saving their bottom line by keeping their audience from going to Newsmax or OAN.
There was a perfect intersection or alignment of financial interest, right? It was in Trump's financial interest to tell the big lie. It was in Fox News's financial interest to allow his surrogates to promote the big lie because it kept eyeballs on their station at a time when they were losing ground to OAN, that crackerjack Pulitzer Prize winning news outlet, as well as Newsmax.
Does a conspiracy have to be willingly, knowingly, specifically on the conspiracy, or can it basically be a mesh of mutual interests that we happen to go down that road, from a legal perspective?
No, it doesn't. And in fact, some of the most complex and most successful criminal conspiracies that we've seen ever prosecuted in the United States or even at the International Court of Justice at The Hague have been those where many of the actors are unaware that they're participating in a conspiracy. That's how mob bosses do things. That's what enforcers do. They sort of dole out the task to those who might not know that the right hand is doing this and they're the left hand and they're doing this other thing that forwards the purpose of the conspiracy. That is entirely what happened here. But to answer your question most directly, I think Maria Bartiromo was one of the Kool-Aid drinkers that truly believed and was incapable of engaging in any sort of critical analysis of the facts. And yet she was being warned, and that's where the $700 and some odd $1 million settlements come in.
And she remains employed at Fox News, unlike Tucker Carlson.
Bye-bye, Tucker.
He was one of the jerks fired today. But wait, there's more. We'll tell you all about it. Come back with us. 844-967-2789. Maggie Daun in studio. Stick around.
You got to be honest about what it means to lead a country. It means killing people.
Okay. Not gonna work here.
You can handle the truth.
Do we swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yep.
Okay, then.
Mad Radio 92.7 WMDX and on the Civic Media app.
ABC News, I'm Rena Roy. The U.S. Embassy in Sudan is now closed after special forces evacuated American diplomats over the weekend in a nighttime operation. But National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan says the situation in the African nation still remains very dangerous, and that the U.S. hopes a lasting pause can be reached.
We have not given up on the notion that there could be a ceasefire that comes into effect and is durable.
There are thousands of Americans still in Sudan, many of them dual citizens. President Biden could announce as soon as tomorrow that he's running for re-election in 2024. At least 12 people are dead, 50 others injured after 2 large explosions in northwest Pakistan today. Parts of California that have been inundated by historic rain and snowfall are now bracing for the first heat wave of the season. Bed Bath & Beyond will close all of its stores and its Bye Bye Baby locations by the end of June, now that it's filed for bankruptcy. This is ABC News.
We're always right, except when we're left. Does that make sense? Mad Radio 92.7 WMDX and streaming on the Civic Media app.
For Civic Media, I'm Jane Matnair. Here's what you need to know. Organizers for the 2024 Republican National Convention in Milwaukee are looking for everything from carpenters to caterers, and they've launched a website for that reason. Businesses can start signing up now, and the information will be used to build a database to share with convention organizers. RNC leaders can then use that database to see what local businesses might be able to help with different events for the convention, which is expected to draw 50,000 people next July. Phone scammers are impersonating Wisconsin State Capitol Police. They say there's a warrant for the victim's arrest, demand payment, and also say don't contact local authorities. If you get a call like this, just hang up. Capitol Police and DOA are working with federal authorities in this investigation. I'm Jane Matnair. This is Civic Media News.
Accidents can be life-changing, no matter how careful you are. But with Gingras Thompson and Wachs, you're not alone. For decades, they've been fighting for the rights of people just like you. They'll let you focus on your recovery while they handle the legal complexities. If you or a loved one has been hurt or killed due to someone else's negligence, contact them now. You may deserve compensation.
All into it, Gingras Thompson and Wachs, GTWlawyers.com.
As a veteran of our country's armed services, you may be experiencing hardships, but we are clear in our mission. No Wisconsin veteran should ever have to face homelessness or lose heat, power, or water again. Apply today by calling 833-WIS-VRAP. That's 833-947-8727. Visit VRAPWI.com.
Hey folks, Stephanie Miller here. As an enlightened progressive, you know how important it is to do business in accordance with your politics. That's why Solidarity Realty is my favorite real estate firm in Madison. Solidarity Realty is a local independent realty company that lives their values. They provide outstanding expertise and protect your best interests while building community and promoting sustainability and diversity. Vive la resistance! Find them today at solidarityrealty.com. And don't forget, tell them Stephanie Miller sent you.
Madison, tune in every weekday from 11 to 2 on Mad Radio 92.7 FM, WMDX 1580 AM for the Tom Hartman Program. Join the show's conversations because our democracy is not a spectator sport. Mad Radio, Madison's home for news talk radio.
Kicking ass and taking names since the Wisconsin Uprising, the Devil's Advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Phone lines are open. You can join us, 844-967-2789. Lots of jerks getting fired today. Who could be next? Could you think whatever happened? Maggie Daun, Tucker Carlson out today. Number one guy on Fox News, Maggie, and I just saw it, I believe, 3.32 million watchers
every night.
I mean,
Carlson. Tucker is really why a lot of people watch Fox, right? And make no mistake, the Tucker formula is not complicated, okay? And let me just, in case you have forgotten, the basic rubric of every Tucker show.
All right, lay it on me, yes.
Very basic. Pick whatever topic du jour, layer basically white grievance, turn it up, to like the 10th exponent. And then, in other words, you just drop this enormous verbal bomb, okay? And then you bring on a few guests to talk about it and legitimize it. You ask very sarcastic questions at the end. Why is it not okay for me to ask
a question
about this?
I'm just asking questions over here, Maggie.
Which is an oldest time rhetorical tool that's used to effectively try to create a layer of distance between the speaker and the view that they're espousing. And also this pragmatic, like, when is it ever not okay to ask a question, right? It's sort of like, well, when did you stop beating your wife? I'm just asking. Why? Don't be I'm just asking.
Just asking questions. Inquiring minds want to know.
And then the next day, what Tucker does is have a complete meltdown, again with some guests, because of the reaction to his extremely race-baiting, misogynistic, xenophobic stuff that he said the night before, right? And just rinse and repeat. So you say inflammatory, very racist thing as XYZ in terms that don't sound racist, right? That are facially neutral, ask some sarcastic questions. People get outraged, and then you criticize the people for being outraged, usually gaslighting them by calling them racist, right? And so goes the cycle. Tucker was really good at that, right? He had perfected, if that was an art form, he had perfected that. And it had appeal, right? For people that feel like they're not quite where they should be.
Well, there's always an audience for that.
Of course.
And if you're better at it, if you're, good at messaging and effective, well, you're going to have a bigger audience. And if you have, flashy ads and good looking hosts and, and lots of pillows, it is, you can influence, and obviously that's what happened. But if we're talking about, though, the number one guy, we're talking about 3.32 million voters, the largest audience in all of cable news in the coveted 25 to 54 age demographic. Tucker Carlson, out today. What is it about a company who looks at a guy like Tucker Carlson, looks at their situation, whatever it may be, because we're on the outside, we don't know. And you know that it's green, it's not red or it's blue. We already know these things. We know what the internal communications were. What was the financial situation? What are the variables to make it time for Tucker to go?
Well, and not just that. We know Tucker is not going to go quietly into that good night. He's going to it's like, Where does that problem pop up again? Is it going to be on podcast and Newsmax and OAN? Is he going to try to start his own whole flagship new enterprise? Because listen, Carlson has gone head to head with those internal to Fox before, probably most notoriously in 2019 with Shep Smith, right?
Yep.
And Shepard Smith ended up canned. Shep Smith now on CNN,
Yep.
right? Fox stood behind Tucker Carlson at every conceivable turn because, as Dom said, there is no red, there is no blue, there's only green, and he was making incredible amounts of money for Fox News. A ton of producers that criticized not just the rhetoric and as it degraded during the Trump presidency, but what he had to say about the election, what he said about Ukraine before it was the war, right? What he said about the Trump influence
pick your
peddling,
episode, right?
Which episode of Ukraine are you talking about? And almost all of those people have been forced out of Fox News. This is the newsmaker making news. I just never, ever thought I would see this. You know, in 2018, apparently there started to be quite an exodus of advertisers on Fox News. But the show ended up making more money after the public outcry because of the sponsorships that would come in. So effectively, it was like there was no bottom for Tucker. There was nothing that couldn't be said that he would be penalized for, and Fox News seemed extremely happy to line up. So the question, at least that I have, is what else is going to come down the pike? What perhaps this woman who has worked as a producer on his show, who has all of these tapes,
Abby Grossberg. She's suing Fox News for sexual harassment and other alleged wrongs, and she has lots and
she's
lots
got
of
receipts,
tapes.
as the kids like to say. And listen, is anybody really of a mind? If you're a Fox News fan, okay, that's your jam. Could you really argue that you're not going to expect the way that people language in that organization to be some of the most sexually explicit and uncomfortable language?
I mean, if not there, where? You know what I mean, isn't this what we do?
The former Washington Redskins, right? I'm using it during that time that it was owned by that locker room, or the Fox News newsroom, probably on par. Very explicit. And it goes back to Roger Ailes' leadership of this organization. So just everything about this tells me there's got to be something more there. And not just everybody, the Dominion suit's done. Well, we've got a couple more coming, and it's not just Miss Grossberg's. We've got the other voting system, Smartmatic, that's suing as well
for 2-point-something billion, like an extra billion above and beyond what Dominion
just put
was.
it right on top. So they're looking down the pike of some pretty serious litigation. Now, if you're thinking about corporate legal defense,
yes, I am.
Firing this guy during the course of the Dominion lawsuit probably would have looked bad, sort of even look like an admission of some kind of guilt or wrongdoing. But I will guarantee you that corporations think about, well, if we fire this guy, does he or she become a hostile witness towards the organization?
Oh, yeah, good point.
Right? So in the Smartmatic lawsuit, in Grossberg's lawsuit, how is Carlson going to play that, right? And that's probably something that he's going to be strategically thinking through. Now, to the extent that the accusations are specifically about the bad things that he did, he's got no choice but to defend that. But
on the liability side, though, I mean, he's no longer with Fox News. If somebody sues him, can he be personally liable for that, or is he still under the Fox News umbrella?
So if it relates back to conduct, actions, words, what have you, that he engaged in while he was still a Fox News employee, he is covered. In other words, Fox is ultimately liable. He is their employee.
But as of this morning, anything he says, he goes and starts his own podcast or goes on Bannon show or whatever and lights up some stuff. He's no longer under Fox's liability protection.
Yeah, like Alex Jones and those few $1 billion that he owes to Sandy Hook. Yes, that whole liability scheme starts to look a lot different.
Well, I'd rather owe it to you than never pay you.
When I figure that one out, I'll let you know. I can't think that fast on the radio, Dom.
844-967-2789. I'd rather owe it to you forever than never pay you. I'm sorry. I misspoke. Let's get to it. We owe it to our audience. They've been so patient. Thank you for joining us. Happy Monday. We're lighting it up. Joanne from Madison, you're up. Welcome. What do you got for us?
Hey, I'm sad for Moscow because it's going to have to fill in those places that it would have those clips from Tucker Carlson or something else. I mean, it was our biggest export to the Soviet Union. Just a little note about Tucker, where I don't miss him at all is the little digs he would make at women of color.
Mm-hmm.
Always, a woman of color was the low IQ blank, blank, blank. The low IQ Kamala Harris, whatever, Susan Rice. And that was completely uncalled for. I mean, even when Tucker was delivering straightforward stuff, it would always be low IQ, and that's a sin I can't forgive. Thank you so much. It's been a great show.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Joanne, you're not too far off. I thought I heard this earlier, but I had to do a quick Google search. Russia state media is already offering Tucker Carlson a job. The Daily Beast reporting. Business Insider. Russia to Tucker Carlson. Run for president.
Yeah.
Visit Moscow. We'll happily offer you a job if you wish to carry on as a presenter and host.
Dennis Rodman goes to North Korea, to meet with Kim Jong-un back in the day. And Putin is hiring Tucker Carlson. I mean, Joanne's got it 100% right? Carlson gave Russia good propaganda to use to attack the United States. But it was more the inverse that was the problem, that Tucker Carlson was effectively a pass-through for all the GRU generated. And the GRU, just to remind everybody in the acronym soup here, is the legacy inherited intelligence arm of Russia that used to be the KGB under the Soviet Union. Effectively, all of that misinformation campaign, all of that propaganda, the entire, what I'm going to call Russian information machine targeting the United States. And make no mistake, the entire purpose of all of that misinformation, those lies, is to sow civil discord and division in this country.
Chaos, baby.
And Tucker Carlson was an unflinching megaphone for Russian propaganda. I mean, yeah, he spliced together the McCarthy stuff in a way that worked for Russia, but we should have been far more worried about the day-over-day endorsement of Russian misinformation that Tucker Carlson and Rupert Murdoch simply were happy to use to cash checks on for these now many, many years. I mean, it was effectively probably the best Russian spy without being a Russian spy.
So Tucker Carlson,
than they could have ever hoped for.
Tucker Carlson picks up on what the GRU, what the Russians are feeding him. He recycles it, regurgitates it. Then Russia says, hey, look at this American host.
Correct.
Here's what they're saying in America, Russia.
A very sick symbiotic relationship that profited both immeasurably, right? And that's the meta context here that I always try to, no matter where anybody falls on the dial, is ask yourself, where do the incentives lie?
Yeah.
Do the incentives align with a stronger America? Are the incentives aligned with, we agree on the value, we're having a good faith debate about the how? Or are the incentives aligned that I will say anything, do anything, be anything, and trade any value away to simply enrich by dividing? If it's the former, you can maybe have a discussion. If it's the latter, it's Fox News and generally MAGA folks, right? I think we're hearing some commentary today asking the question, does this portend, is this turning the page on the MAGA movement? I'd be really interested to hear what the listeners have to say about that, Dom. Do you think that the firing of Tucker Carlson and these continuing lawsuits with Fox News, maybe even the $5 million that an arbiter in Minnesota said Mike Lindell has to pay to the guy who took up the challenge that Mike laid out to prove that his data was false?
Mike Lindell presented a bunch of just random data at his convention, right?
Yeah.
And said, I'll pay anyone $5 million who can prove this is not voting data. And some Republican conservative data wonk did it.
I loved it. It was some 56-year-old guy. He's a data guy, kind of a bean counter type. Mike Lindell specifically says, I'll give you $5 million if you can't prove, or if you can prove that this doesn't show that the election was rigged.
Right.
And what the guy proved was, not only does it not show that the election was rigged, It's not even election data from 2020. It has nothing to do with the issue at hand. So do you think that all of this movement is portending a turn of the page for the MAGA movement, for Trumpism 2.0, whether that's with DJT or not?
844-967-2789. We have some callers we'll get to you. We do want to know. Or do they just crawl back from under the rock because they've always been there and they're always going to be there? Folks, we are the Devil's Advocates. That is Maggie Daun. She is the guest host. So we're going to talk about some radio business later on, Ms. Dawn. But you can join us once again, 844-967-2789. We will be right back.
Look through your children's eyes, and you discover the true magic of a forest.
Find a forest near you and start exploring at discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
The Devil's Advocates, because freedom. But Tom, we've been following a couple of big stories this week. Truck convoy leader has no idea where he is and is driving in circles around I-495. He didn't know precisely where he was going anyways or where he was at the time. Apparently, he put the convoy back on the road, headed back up north, and he's back in Scranton. So
I totally would have protested this tyranny, but damn, the traffic was so bad.
Follow the Devil's Advocates on Facebook and Twitter.
Look through your children's eyes, and you will discover the true magic of a forest.
Find a forest near you and start exploring at discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Here's your Mad Radio forecast. Lows dip down to about 35 tonight under overcast skies with a slight chance for scattered rain showers. Winds out of the northeast, 5 to 10 miles an hour. Slight chance for scattered rain showers tomorrow. Daytime highs approaching 49. Cloudy skies expected. Lows dip down to about 29 tomorrow night. Partly cloudy skies.
For Civic Media, I'm meteorologist Derek Height. Currently, it's 48 degrees.
Charged, never convicted. The Devil's Advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Phone lines are open for your take. 844-967-2789. Tucker Carlson out at Fox News. Dan Bongino, he was fired a few days ago. Question posed. What does this portend for the MAGA movement? Is this bad for them? Or are they just going to shift gears and keep on rolling like the blob? 844-967-2789. Maggie Daun, the co-devil today. Mark from the Sack, you're up. Welcome. What do you got for us?
Yeah, thanks so much. It's interesting to see if the authoritarian trend that Tucker Carlson appeals to is going to keep on going. Do you think that these people that talk about liberty and freedom, and they talk about what a horrible dictator-like person that Joe Biden is, when they respond to the authoritarian and to people that are in search of have unfettered hubris and pride in what they do, and when our literature, even going back to the ancient literature, like whenever the hero gets too full of himself, usually the gods find some way of punishing him. That like Gilgamesh, when his immortality was stolen from him by the snake. That the warnings of Greek mythology and the tales of King Midas and others. I mean, the Greek heroes often met with horrible fates because they got too full of themselves, and that. And maybe I'm going too far.
Heroes, Mark, you're assuming what Mega's like understanding the Greek culture. I don't think they even have those books in the library. There might be some genitalia exposed in some of the statues. Thanks for the call, Mark. I was recently in Italy, Maggie, and wow, what a sausage party, man. Michelangelo had no problem with naked men all over the place. But
all over.
Apparently, in some places in this country, that's considered porn. So I question whether or not some American mega folks are, being too philosophically deep on their criticisms or why they are the way they are. But thanks for the call, man. Appreciate it. 844-967-2789. Tom from McFarland, you're next. Welcome, Tom. What do you got for us?
Thanks for taking my call. And I think the idea that this is going to do anything to stop the MAGA crowd would be wishful thinking on our part. They've always been there. They haven't gone anywhere. And unfortunately, it's a movement that spreads through social media. So the only thing that's going to happen is just amplify that voice. And now that they've had a taste of that power that they're actually looking for, they're not going to go back underneath those rocks. They're just going to get more violent. They're going to become more aggressive. They're going to do whatever it is that they can do in order to maintain power. And you're seeing that within Republicans. Look at how the Republicans are doing everything they can to help bring about that suppression of votes or voices that are counter to them. What was it the other day? We just had a prominent GOP strategist and attorney who gave a very high-profile talk to the GOP about college kids and how they are pretty much a lost cause for the GOP. And rather than trying to come up with policies that might attract the college crowd, they're coming up with strategies of how they can suppress the college crowd. That's the GOP.
That's the quiet part out loud from Cleta Mitchell. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, Cleta Mitchell, Tom, former Foley and Lardner partner. I believe she was also one of the attorneys on the very famous and totally honest phone call that Trump had with the Georgia officials when he asked for 11,780 votes. That's a great point. But again, I would remind you, Tom, Paul Weyrich was saying these things back in the 80s, to the evangelicals. They want less people to vote. It's better for the conservative movement if less people vote. And what an admission, Tom. Our policies
part
suck
out loud, yep.
so bad that we can't convince people to vote for us. So our best option is to suppress the vote. 844-967-2789. Maggie, any thoughts?
Yeah, that's the GOP brand. It's been the GOP brand, and it's been the GOP strategy for the last 20 years.
Do the kids know that? Because I don't think they do. I mean, the way Gen Z came out, and Cleta Mitchell specifically referred to Wisconsin.
Yes.
Oh, we're making it too easy. The kids, they roll out of their dorm rooms and go down the street, or maybe hell, even in the same building, and vote and go back. It's like they don't do enough. It's not hard enough for them, Cleta Mitchell? Really?
Yeah, there aren't enough obstacles to voting. Odd that nowhere in the Constitution for all those, strict constructionists, read Dan Kelly, there's nothing in the Constitution about restricting voting other than the age of majority, right? Somehow very tuned up about gun rights and very literally interpreting exactly the words of the document there, and that they shall not be abridged. But we'll walk all over your most fundamental democratic right, and that is to vote without any compunction. Listen, we've been starting to get Republicans on tape saying the quiet part out loud for a bit now. Yep. Not only do we have Cleta Mitchell saying we should be suppressing the voting age college kids, but we've had other Republicans in the last few cycles saying, yeah, we put these voter ID rolls in place because it helps keep poor people and black people from voting.
And college kids, yes.
And those pesky, if it wasn't for those pesky kids, I would have gotten away with it.
Right. It's the Scooby-Doo philosophy of the Republicans. 844-967-2789. Here's a mega CJ. You're up. What do you think, man? Fox News, Tucker is gone. What's your opinion? Why do you think Tucker's out?
Well, I'm sure they're using the excuse that he's paid too much money. So just like Aaron Rodgers has gone bye-bye, they're going to do that to Tucker. But I find it funny, you guys will avoid Don Lemon.
That's our third jerk. No. That's our third jerk. Third jerk of the day. Third jerk of the day.
The 18-year-old naked guy in the Sun Prairie shower with 14-year-olds. You guys are probably okay with that. But the Republicans...
Come on, CJ, honestly, brother, honestly, like, we can argue, but nobody is okay on this station, or I'm never going to claim that you're okay with sexual assault or pedophilia or the rape of children. Don Lemon is a terrible jerk. He has had problem for years with misogyny. Thanks for queuing up the third jerk of the day that's gone bye-bye. That is Don Lemon. That's why at the beginning of the show, what did I ask? I said, do you want to talk about sports or media? And you want to talk about media on the right or the left?
That's right.
Don Lemon was the guy, the other jerk that got fired today. He said things like this, texted this to a young reporter by the name of Kira Phillips about 15 years ago, who got an assignment that Don wanted. He texted this to her. Now you've crossed the line and you're going to pay for it. Don Lemon should have been fired 15 years ago. It's high time CNN caught up with that. It's a shame that it took this long. 3 months ago, since we're on it, CJ, thanks for bringing it up. He said that Nikki Haley was past her prime because she was in her 40s. Screw you, Don. I'm in my 40s and I'm just hitting my stride.
That's what I'm saying. Don Lemon is out. CNN said Don will forever be part of the CNN family. We thank him for his contributions over the last 17 years. We wish him well, and we'll be cheering for him on his future endeavors. I'm stunned, Don Lemon said, arguing the management did not have the decency to inform him of his firing directly. Quote, at no time was I ever given any indication that I would not be able to continue to do the work I've loved at the network. CNN, they refuted that. They said that's inaccurate. Quote, he wasn't offered an opportunity to meet with management, but instead released a statement on Twitter, the network said in a statement. Yes, negotiation by Twitter, that always works out.
Just ask Elon Musk.
Don Lemon out at CNN. Tucker out at Fox News, and Aaron Rodgers out at the Green Bay Packers. Folks, with the Devil's Advocates, Maggie Daun hanging out. One more hour. The happy hour's next. Stick it around. We will be right back.
Speaking no truth, winning is all. Fighting so grim, so true, so real.
No Wisconsin resident should ever have to be without heat, water, or power. The Keep Wisconsin Warm, Cool Fund and your local energy assistance providers are here to help. For a hand up, apply today and call 1-800-506-5596. That's 800-506-5596. Or visit www.heat.help.
Make a difference in the lives of children and families in your community. Canopy Center is a nonprofit organization located in Madison with the mission to help strengthen families and support children, teens, and adults impacted by trauma and adversity. Canopy Center is always looking for caring people to volunteer within its 3 programs: court-appointed special advocates, Oasis, and Parent to Child. Find out more about how to help at canopycenter.org.
You're listening to Mad Radio, WMDX 1580 AM Columbus, W224EG Madison, and always streaming on the Civic Media app.
ABC News. I'm Derek Dennis. Secretary of State Antony Blinken says he had no choice but to evacuate and close the U.S. Embassy in Sudan.
In the decade plus since the merger, Live Nation has consolidated its dominant position in the ticketing and live entertainment markets, and the result is a competition-killing strategy that has left artists and fans paying the price.
The diplomats were evacuated over the weekend. The National Teacher of the Year honored today at the White House. Rebecca Peterson, a high school math teacher, is also an immigrant, the daughter of Swedish and Iranian parents.
I may not have been born here, but I consider myself a daughter of this country. I've been lucky to witness the beauty of our nation from a perhaps different lens.
Peterson and the 4 finalists were the guests of President Biden and Dr. Jill Biden, who is also a teacher. The Justice Department has joined the Department of Transportation's investigation into the holiday meltdown at Southwest Airlines. This is ABC News. Bed Bath & Beyond, and now a bankruptcy. 360 locations and 120 Bye Baby stores expected to close by June 30th. Returns and exchanges for items bought yesterday or before must be returned by May 24th. The Little League in a New Jersey town has come up with a new way to deal with parents who fight with the umpires. It's going to put them behind the plate for a few games.
Don Mafuzzi runs a little league in Deptford Township, New Jersey, and he's having a hard time getting umpires to show up at games.
They're coming here, they're being abused, they don't need that, so they're walking away.
The problem isn't the kids, it's their parents yelling at them about calls.
It always amazes me that they can see a strike better over there than the umpire can right there, 1 foot in back of them.
New rule, you yell at the ump, you have to umpire yourself for 3 games before you're allowed back in the stands. Mom Caitlin Tokley loves the idea and says,
if the parents are going to be sitting there yelling the whole entire game, they might as well use that energy like out on the field.
Sherry Preston, ABC News.
I'm Derek Dennis, ABC News.
News brought to you by Gingras, Thompson & Walks, your personal injury attorneys dedicated to helping you get the justice you deserve. GTWLawyers.com. They're all in to win.
For Civic Media News, I'm Terry Bell. Here's what you need to know. Flooding is a concern in river communities in southwest Wisconsin. The Mississippi River in La Crosse has hit major flood stage and should get higher. Several streets are closed in Prairie du Chien. In Grant County, people are having to evacuate their homes. There's a hearing set for a Madison courtroom on May 4th challenging Wisconsin's restrictive abortion law. The State Justice Department plans to argue more recent legislation leaves the 1849 ban unenforceable.
We've argued that those recent laws impliedly repealed the 1849 ban. We've got really strong arguments.
That's Wisconsin Attorney General Josh Call on WISN TV's Upfront program. The case is expected to go all the way to the state Supreme Court. In sports, the Bucks try to pull even in their playoff series at Miami tonight. The Brewers host Detroit. I'm Terry Bell, and this is Civic Media News.
Accidents can be life-changing, no matter how careful you are. But with Gingras, Thompson & Walks, you're not alone. For decades, they've been fighting for the rights of people just like you. They'll let you focus on your recovery while they handle the legal complexities. If you or a loved one has been hurt or killed due to someone else's negligence, contact them now. You may deserve compensation.
All in to win. Gingras, Thompson & Walks. GTWLawyers.com.
I mean, Madison is the home of Bratfest and the World Naked Bike Ride. It makes sense we'd call it home, too. Mad Radio 92.7 WMDX.
I'm Corey Bang from Mad Radio 92.7 WMDX, and here are some events that are coming up in the area. On April 19th, go check out Madison's funniest comic that's taking place at Comedy on State. Show starts at 9 o'clock p.m. On April 20th and 23rd, go check out the famous Shakespeare's tragedy Macbeth that's taking place at the UW Villas Hall Hemsley Theater. Show starts at 7:30 p.m. on April 20th and 2 o'clock p.m. on the 23rd. On April 21st and 22nd, go check out romantic comedy It's All Overboard that's take place at the Broome Street Theater. Show starts at 8 o'clock p.m. You also cannot forget about, on April 22nd, go check out Artemisia at the Oberschur Center Playhouse. Show starts at 7:30 p.m. If you have an event you'd like us to tell others about, let me know. Email me at corey.bank@civicmedia.us and we'll tell the community about it. We're Mad Radio 92.7 WNDX.
Could there be a better name? Auto Value Parts Stores. They aren't just about air fresheners or fuzzy dice. Auto Value Parts Stores are all about parts, auto parts, and advice. Pros who know auto parts with tons of tips when you need them the most. You want real value? Don't go to a place with a cute name. Go to Auto Value. Could there be a better name? I didn't think so. Your Auto Value Parts Store. We've got the parts, we've got the smarts.
Missed your favorite show live on air? It's easy to find what you enjoy wherever you listen to podcasts, including Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. And we're always streaming on TuneIn and the Civic Media app.
Being a father is an honor, a challenge, a duty, a celebration, and a testimony. I want to be legendary for you because I found everything to live for.
That's dedication. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Mad Radio 92.7 programming is produced live in the Solidarity Realty Studios. Solidarity Realty, there is an alternative.
Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever.
And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves and corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the Devil Radio Studios in Madison, Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning. Welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Here is your host, Mike Crute.
Welcome to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Crudy is off tonight. Today I am your co-host, Dom, and I have a co-host, Devil, with me in studio. She is Maggie Daun, Milwaukee County Corporate Counsel, and dear friend of the Devil's Advocates. Maggie, thanks for sticking around.
Hey, Dom, great to be here.
Good to see you. Last hour, of course, discussing the news of the day. It's Fire Jerk Day. All the jerks getting fired today, April 24th. It will now be known forever. Aaron Rodgers out at Green Bay. Don Lemon out at CNN. Tucker Carlson out at Fox News. Have a little update to share with our audience. Of course, you can join us as well. 844-967-2789. Let's see. Fox News host, according to the New York Times, Harris Faulkner said Monday while on air that starting Monday evening, the interim show would fill the 8 p.m. hour. Fox News Tonight. Fox News Tonight, replacing Tucker Carlson with a rotating Fox News personalities until a new host is named.
Shoo.
Oh, what are we gonna do? So, does this make what does this mean for the mega movement? What does this mean for right-wing hate? Television, news, radio, whatever you call it. Dan Bongino out earlier last week as well. Tucker Carlson out today, of course. Fox News, $787 million settlement. Maggie, thanks again. It's been way too long. But we didn't even get to talk about the Fox News settlement and how does this now, in your mind, tie into what we're seeing happen over at Fox News?
Yeah, it's really a moment. Nearly $1 billion in the first settlement. I just want to say, it's the first settlement. They've still got to deal with Smartmatic. They've got a lawsuit that's basically tied right into the same nexus of facts, right? This young producer who worked on Tucker's show has made some really extraordinary allegations about the harassing atmosphere, her calls to sort of fact check what they were claiming and the pushback that occurred. That is going to be another lawsuit. By the by, E. Jean Carroll, that might get ramped up any minute now,
yeah, that's
too.
going on this week.
Right. There's so much happening. But when you look strictly at righty-whitey TV news propaganda, Tucker really did stand alone. And in a lot of ways, when you look at the media, the messenger does matter, right? You can have the same exact thing said by 3 different people, and one you believe, one you want to punch in the nose, and the other one you just want to turn off.
Is it the time slot though? I mean, that's the vaunted spot. I mean, could you stick anyone? And I guess we'll see. I mean,
we will see. So they're rotating the hosts through, right? Are they? I'm curious about the message, though. Like, to your question about does this change the Fox dynamic? Do they continue to stick with this Tucker adjacent formula, right? Say something that is totally outrageous, that is explicitly racist, explicitly sexist in some form or another, anti-science. And then when people get outraged back at them and then accuse them of all the things that you've just been accused of, or just engage in apparently CJ's favorite tactic, which is whataboutism.
A lot of that going on, right?
What about?
Well, I mean, what about they just bring on some hosts that, talk about the events of the day? And I get it. People have a different perspective. Everyone's experiences are different, right?
Yes.
You can appreciate that. But the process, the style of Fox News and Tucker. I mean, this isn't the first time people have used racism and nationalism. I mean, this is kind of the authoritarian playbook.
Correct.
Throughout the entirety of time.
Yep.
It was just not able to be so much amplified as it is seemingly nowadays.
Absolutely. And I don't know that you're going to see much of a page turn from that dynamic unless and until the MAGA movement within the GOP is neutralized more. That's really what the question is, because media companies, I don't care right or left or down the middle, are going to sell what people are buying, what gets the clickbait. Now, make no mistake, I will not engage in false equivalencies. Don Lemon is a jerk, but he is nowhere near as divisive and dangerous and demented of a jerk as was Tucker Carlson. These are not equivalents.
Is.
I just like to think of him in the past tense. And I just
Right.
mean that from a media standpoint.
course,
He's not
of
on Fox
course.
anymore. But this is the guy that called women dogs. That's Tucker Carlson.
Yeah.
He called Iraqis primitive monkeys. He actually said this on air. How did we wind up in a country in which feminists do science? Marie Curie, man, I'm just saying, Marie Curie, like, these are extraordinary things.
But he's just he's purposefully, he's just trying to rile people up. You say whatever the hell what is
also
this?
a
Yes.
quotable? This is one of my favorite Tuckers. The metric system is a conspiracy. For real, right? He defended that Donald Trump went and met Kim Jong-un by saying that leading a country indeed means mass killings. That's sort of like, because Donald Trump said, well, Kim Jong-un, he's a good leader. See how his people love him. And Tucker doubled down on that. That's bananas. My favorite, Tucker, white supremacy is a hoax. So like slavery didn't happen. That wasn't a thing here. That's why what I think is motivating for Fox News, what worked for Tucker, and I'm sure he'll go sell on his own platform or some other platform.
Yeah, see how Truth Social's working out.
Absolutely. It will be this same brand of stuff. Now, is that always a human condition,
Does
Dom?
he take
I
that
agree
audience?
with you.
What does he take that audience with him, though? So here's the point. I haven't seen,
Yeah.
because it's kind of breaking news. I'm dug into what the right wingers are saying on their side, but I would imagine Tucker Carlson has quite a following among the white nationalists. And if Tucker goes, are they going to take that ire? As does Trump. Like, no one's a Trump ally. You're a Trump ally until Trump decides you're not, and he craps on everybody. That's
Right.
how he does
his
it.
modus operandi.
And in a lot of regards, that's seemingly how the mega movement works, right? If you're not down, Parler got sold. The new owners want to actually make some money, and all the whiteys are, they're terrible, Parler. So there's
right.
If you don't,
hard to sell stuff with anti-Semitism as your co-brand, right?
well, if you want to get beyond a certain percentage of audience and market share, yes, absolutely it is.
But
there's always a few that'll eat that. But is it a sustainable business model? God, I hope not.
I don't think so. I think you've brought the conversation full circle back to the fundamental demographic problem that challenges the GOP. The numbers don't wash. They are literally dying off, right? The country is no longer older and whiter and maler. It is more diverse, right? There is a more open sensibility. That is what the GOP now has to brand itself against. That's why you saw Tucker Carlson basically standing up in 2018 for the first time and loudly endorsing replacement theory, right? Replacement theory, for those that aren't familiar, has always been a fundamental platform within the white nationalist and KKK movements and those adjacent sort of groups throughout American history since basically the Jim Crow, right? Part of that was the reason we need to oppress through indirect and direct means, both legal and illegal, Black and brown folks, is that if you don't, they will replace white people. Right? That literally it will lead to the annihilation of the white race. He went on television and said, yes, replacement theory. We have to be worried about that.
That's the thing. I'm Tucker Carlson. This is Fox News. Thank you for listening.
Right.
Yeah.
And cha-ching,
That's
cha-ching, cha-ching.
3.3 million people
every
day,
night.
and number one in the 25-54 demographic.
Absolutely. That's a frightening number. And I think we would be remiss to say, so the distinction I want to draw is this. One, do I think that rabid, overtly racist, white, KKK leaning, friendly group is the predominant group that can carry a show like Tucker Carlson? No. Tucker Carlson wouldn't have been on the air if those were the only people that were listening, because frankly, Tucker wasn't radical enough.
So he wrapped it up a little nicer for those who may not be so extreme.
He dulled the language down, even though I look at the language and think, oh my God, I can't believe he's saying that. But he wasn't actually saying we hate black people. Like he kept just shy of that line, right? But what he did speak to was the way to package that, right, with these things that are pretty clearly have their roots in the white nationalist and racist movements within this country, and say them in a little bit different of a way that appeal to folks in the working middle class that feel aggrieved and happen to be white and a little bit older leaning.
Fear and blame, though. I mean, where's the hope and change? You know what I'm saying? I mean, yes.
That can't work. It doesn't work demographically, because the GOP does not have middle class sustaining policy planks. Okay, we see the result
as
of
a
that
political
as
platform.
a political platform, as a political party, and that has been true since well before Ronald Reagan. Right, Reagan sort of made it very explicit. It is because of that, because what you're saying doesn't work for the majority of people. And oh, by the way, there are fewer white people relative to how many there have been as a percentage of the population, that you have to figure out a way to win. So the way to win is to separate, to use fear, and to use the oldest bases for fear in this country, the ones that are programmed into the American fabric and ephemera. It is racist, and frankly, most of the time, it's pretty gosh darn misogynist. That sells. They otherize. That is the brand of Fox. You go hope and change, and all of a sudden, you got to be responsible for some policies that look like hope and change.
Folks, you are listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. That is Maggie Daun, Milwaukee County Corporate Counsel, friend of ours, and my understanding, Maggie, perhaps a host once again. We'll get into
that.
What's going on? We got lots of good news and lots of callers. We will get to you once again. 844-967-2789. It's the jerk firing day every April 24th from now on, Maggie Daun. That's when the world needs to fire their jerks. And
Fire
today,
them jerks.
Aaron Rodgers, Tucker Carlson, and Don Lemon. You know, sports, right, left.
You're all gone.
Taking care of family business. We're going to take care of some business and come back with your calls once again. 844-96-PARTY.
Tell me, baby, what's my name? Tell me, honey, I can't confine it. Tell me, baby, what's my name? I tell you one time, you're a baby.
This message is for Karina, our mom who finished her high school diploma at age 28. Hi, Mom. It's Emmettith and Nicholas. Congratulations on getting your diploma. You worked so hard and have taught us so much. We love you.
When you graduate, they graduate. Finish your high school diploma for you and for them. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free and supportive adult education centers near you. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Plenty of people start something great in their 40s and 50s. Getting your retirement savings on track is no different. Go to aceyourretirement.org, and in 3 minutes, you'll get personalized tips to help boost your retirement savings. That's aceyourretirement.org. A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
Warning, listening to the Devil's Advocates may expose you to opposing views.
We've mentioned, inflation is going to be an issue. Let me ask you this. What would you like to see Donald Trump do if you were here? What did you suggest Biden do to address the inflationary pressures we're facing right now?
Well, I can't tell you that because that would be something you could counter and defeat Trump with, or the Republican Party. So tell you.
You think Trump's taking strategy from you on talk radio, Lou?
I mean, you're no Kid Rock, Lou.
Follow the Devil's Advocates on Facebook and Twitter.
Join the conversation with your favorite hosts or shows anytime. Follow Civic Media on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Share your thoughts on our social media channels wherever you are, whenever you want. The Civic Media network of local radio stations here for you.
Here's your Mad Radio forecast. Lows dip down to about 35 tonight under overcast skies with a slight chance for scattered rain showers. Winds out of the northeast, 5 to 10 miles an hour. Slight chance for scattered rain showers tomorrow. Daytime highs approaching 49. Cloudy skies expected. Lows dip down to about 29 tomorrow night. Partly cloudy skies. For Civic Media, I'm meteorologist Derek Height. Currently, it's 49 degrees.
Save the $2 on tomorrow's paper. Listen to the Devil's Advocates today.
And we're back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Going to get to the callers this segment, 844-967-2789. Maggie Daun in the studio talking about Fox News, Tucker Carlson, other jerks getting fired today. A little bit here from the Washington Post regarding the Tucker firing. The spring, as revelations from Dominion's trove of internal communications piled up, Carlson also came under scrutiny when a former producer, Abby Grossberg, sued Fox for sexual harassment and other alleged wrongs. In her suit, she said that when she started working for Carlson, she found the office plastered with large images of then House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, quote, in a plunging bathing suit revealing her cleavage. Tucker, yeah.
Why?
She also alleged that male colleagues on Carlson's staff openly critiqued the looks and sex appeal of prominent female politicians, as well as their own female co-workers, and that a boss asked her uncomfortable questions about the sex life of her former boss, Maria Bartiromo. And duly noted, Abby Grossberg has the receipts. She's got tapes of lots of these conversations and ongoings at Fox News.
It had to just be an everyday thing, right? Like this is clearly what was happening, and it's interesting. Again, in the same line of commentary, when we talk about the fact that they can't win on the argument, right? That when you hear people sort of give back the Fox talking points or engage with the argument, they have bought into like the half-formed, half-shaped, half-baked, half the facts sort of frame that Fox presents a lot of these arguments in. And when you are failing so hard on the argument, what do? You make fun of the way the woman looks, right? You call her fat. Oh, by the way, Don Lemon did that too to a colleague. So Don Lemon did Fire the Jerks Day, Don Lemon too. But you call a woman fat and you make fun of the way that she looks, and you engage in really awful, sexually explicit either discussions or imagery regarding a woman. Every single female listening to this show right now, Dominic, I guarantee you, if she has worked in any environment where she demonstrated ample confidence, jokes and comments and terrible things were said about her by some of the men that she worked with. And if she's worked in more than one place, like any place that you go, if you don't have to dress a certain way, you don't have to act a certain way, you don't have to be a certain age, it doesn't matter. If you demonstrate competence, and heaven forbid, if you're really damn good at your job, then there are people in that organization, and probably men pretty close to those women, saying just absolutely objectively awful things about them. That's where you go when you stink at your job, or your message or your policy planks don't work. That's why Republicans engage in these kinds. That's right. That's your go-to maneuver.
Yeah. 844-967-2789. Maggie Daun, great points. Let's get some points from some of the audience members. Todd from Green Bay, Wisconsin. You're up. Welcome, Todd. What do you got for us?
Yes, I was just wondering what MAGA Republican means.
What is a MAGA Republican? Well, a Trump-supporting Republican. The new Republican, not the old Republicans.
A Trump supporter that doesn't matter what he says or does, or what's dangerous or not, doesn't care about an insurrection. The kind that's like, yeah, he can do no wrong. I don't care what he did. I'll always vote for Donald Trump. That's a MAGA Republican.
What does MAGA mean? Doesn't it mean make America great again?
Yeah, when was America great for black people?
For black people, a lot of black people are doing well off.
I said, when was America, on balance, great for most black people? Just if you ask the average black person, is America great for black people? What do you think a black person would say?
Yes. I think they would say yes.
I think that that's
and
a lie,
also-
and you
and then
absolutely know better.
also-
And that's the problem with the phrase "Make America Great Again." Make America great again for whom? To what era of America are we hearkening back to?
Right. That's really
America.
the question.
It doesn't say make Black America great again.
No, it says
doesn't
"Make
say
America
make
Great
white
Again."
America.
Again, the America from when?
Right.
Again,
But
when
what-
was it
what does
great?
race what does America's always been great? Why do you hate America so much?
Why do you assume that I hate America? Criticizing something doesn't mean that I
Because you're
hate it. It
bashing
means,
it.
excuse me, criticizing America means that I believe it can be better. And because I love America, I will criticize it. That's what being a patriot is, to be able to understand that history is complicated, that America was birthed in slavery, that slavery is an evil, that the results of having brought people here involuntarily to build our country's economy, without which we would never have been able to be where we are today, that has created systemic inequities. I call that patriotic, sir. I think America
war,
can be great, but we do not have a finished product.
Todd, let me,
we
Todd
don't
from
have
Green
the
Bay.
finished product yet. What do
If
you
I may,
mean?
Todd, if I may, and I appreciate the perspective, let me ask you this. June of 1967, Loving, Virginia. That was when it became illegal for states to outlaw interracial marriage. Do you think interracial marriage should be outlawed in this country? Because it was up until 1967, Todd.
So 1967, that was how many years ago? There's interracial couples everywhere. You guys don't see
So
them,
the
or
point
what?
is, when have we achieved
Wasn't
a
there
just
a
enough
war? Was
society,
there
Todd? Do you get to adjudge when our country is just enough? Do you believe that America should continue to try to make itself better? So if so, why do we have this idea that we should make America great again, as if our project of democracy is done? Why
we were
shouldn't
built
we
on
all
a
be trying
republic,
to make
first
it
of
better?
all. If you say the Pledge of Allegiance, it was built on a republic, not a democracy. We fought a war over slavery with white people against white people, killing each other.
Black people
for
also
the
fought in the
freedom of
Civil
black
War,
people.
Todd, but black people also fought in the Civil War.
But it was fought between, I mean, it makes no sense. Also, and then I keep hearing
I'm
that
sorry, what makes
AR
no sense? I was confused about your comment about the Civil War.
We'll leave it there, Todd. Appreciate it, man. Keep trying. 844-967-2789. We will take more of your calls with Maggie Daun, Waukee County Corporate Counsel, and new host. When's that show starting? Hey, stick around. We'll tease you. We'll be right back.
Civic Media radio stations, providing your news, conversations, and fun you won't find anywhere else.
ABC News. I'm Derek Dennis. Secretary of State Antony Blinken says he had no choice but to evacuate and close the U.S. Embassy in Sudan.
In the decade plus since the merger, Live Nation has consolidated its dominant position in the ticketing and live entertainment markets, and the result is a competition-killing strategy that has left artists and fans paying the price.
The diplomats were evacuated over the weekend. The National Teacher of the Year honored today at the White House. Rebecca Peterson, a high school math teacher, is also an immigrant, the daughter of Swedish and Iranian parents.
I may not have been born here, but I consider myself a daughter of this country. I've been lucky to witness the beauty of our nation from a perhaps different lens.
Peterson and the 4 finalists were the guests of President Biden and Dr. Jill Biden, who is also a teacher. The Justice Department has joined the Department of Transportation's investigation into the holiday meltdown at Southwest Airlines. This is ABC News.
News brought to you by Gingras, Thompson & Wachs, your personal injury attorneys with over 35 years of experience. GTWLawyers.com. They're all in to win.
This is Pat Kreitlow from Up North News Radio, inviting you to join us every weekday morning from 6 to 8 a.m. Up North News is your online home for stories that are unabashedly Wisconsin. We cover the latest out of the state capital, of course, but we also celebrate this amazing state with stories about people and places, food, events, history, and more. You can find our work at our website, upnorthnewswi.com, or search for Up North News WI on social media and subscribe to our newsletter too. Then, each morning, I get you caught up on the latest headlines, plenty of weather checks, a little sports. We do a daily music break and a history lesson. We have newsmakers, insiders, community leaders, and all kinds of other guests and regulars. And we take the time to break down an issue or a story and explain it in plain English. Catch Up North News Radio weekdays 6 to 8 here on the radio, the Civic Media website, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
Accidents can be life-changing, no matter how careful you are. But with Gingras, Thompson, and Walks, you're not alone. For decades, they've been fighting for the rights of people just like you. They'll let you focus on your recovery while they handle the legal complexities. If you or a loved one has been hurt or killed due to someone else's negligence, contact them now. You may deserve compensation.
All into it, Gingras, Thompson, and Walks, GTWlawyers.com.
Hey, Darcy, I just saw the perfect house. Can you help me write an offer on it?
I'd be happy to, Brian. Did you see it at an open house?
No, I just called the sign and had the agent show it to me. I didn't want to bug you.
Right. How many times have you heard me say don't call the sign?
All of them?
You called the agent working for the seller, and once you see the property with that agent, I'm no longer free to write an offer on it.
So...
You need to hire us from the beginning, help you find the right home, negotiate on your behalf, and protect your interests all the way through the process, and it shouldn't cost you a dime.
Solidarity Realty. They're real, they're solid, and they're honest. Find them at solidarityrealty.com.
It's that time of year. Time for all the home improvement projects that need to be completed. There's that hole in the wall that needs repair. The kitchen and dining room need fresh paint. And isn't it time to finish that remodel project in the family room? Need help? 3 words. Drywall on Call. New construction, remodeling, repairs, painting, residential or commercial. The team at Drywall on Call believes having it done right is always money well spent. Log on drywalloncall.com or call 608-635-6061. 608-635-6061.
My Alzheimer's diagnosis was hard to take.
But early detection allowed us to take control of the situation together.
Talk to your family about seeing a doctor. Go to alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Think you know politics? Think again. Welcome to the Devil's Advocates.
And we're back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Maggie Daun, my co-devil for the day. Crudy's out screwing around somewhere, having fun, I'm sure. I bet he wanted to be here today. Aaron Rodgers traded.
Yes.
You know, Crudy's is going nuts right now. Hating the fact he's not here to talk about it.
Thanks, Mike.
We got Maggie Daun here going to talk about it. Maggie, we had our last caller, Todd, you had some thoughts for Todd.
Wants to know why I hate America, as if criticizing America means I hate America. I think if you love the country, right, you have to criticize it. The question I always like to ask people when they ask me that silliness is, did you ever get in trouble when you're a kid with your parents, like get grounded? You know, maybe you have to do some chores.
Right, totally. All the time. My parents hated me.
Right. Did that mean your parents didn't love you?
No, of course not.
If you love it, you will work to make it better. You will boldly engage with its flaws, right? That's how we learn from this. Those that do not learn history are doomed to repeat it, right?
It's a give and take relationship. You know, this isn't stalking. You know, we don't stalk America. We actually truly love America, all her flaws and all her wonders.
Yes.
And of course, you know, a piece of dirt is not a thing. It's a mindset. It's a people. It's a philosophy that we aim to be there. We try. I mean, it is, and damn, it's hard sometimes, Todd. It's hard, especially when you fall for hucksters like Trump and Tucker Carlson. That makes it even more difficult. But the criticizing of our country and observing our historical facts is not hating America. It's not being woke. It's just what it is. It's history. It's fact. These things occur. And while, you know, 1967 might seem like a long time ago, Todd, I was born in 71, man. You know, it's not that long ago. So not quite in my lifetime, but almost in my lifetime, an interracial couple could not get married in some states in this country. That's very recent history, man. I'm not an old man yet. That's like yesterday, Todd.
Well, to me, it's like, hey, Todd, okay, you think all black people or every black person that you would talk to would tell you that they think America's great. Works just peachy keen for them. for black folks. Do you think black folks would generally tend to indicate some level of fear if they're ever pulled over by a cop? Right? Like, is that an experience that most white people have where you get pulled over and you're not cold sweating because you're like, oh, my insurance is going to go up?
Oh, I forgot to put the stickers on
Right,
the license plate.
I was speeding and I got to pay. Have you actually ever interacted with someone that works in law enforcement and feared for your life?
Right. Like literally for your life.
That's the question, right? Hey, did the house you bought or your parents bought when you got the deed that was recorded 100 years ago? You live in Wauwatosa or Greendale or Greenfield or, Shorewood or Whitefish Bay in Milwaukee. Did the deed actually say this property shall never transfer to any Negro? Did it say that?
Because they still do.
Was that you? Yeah, like, come on.
Right. 844-967-2789. Todd, keep trying, man. Keep trying. We'll get you straight. Beth from Indiana. Solid response, says Beth. What do you got for us?
Yeah. Hi, guys. Love you all. Listen, I got a response both to Todd and to every person in this country that is moved by the phrase, make America great again. Here's something these guys are not remembering. When you ask them, well, when was America great? Most of them will agree that they might say the 40s, the 50s, the 60s. Well, guess what, dudes? That's when the richest Americans were taxed at either 75 or 90%, depending on which decade you choose. Unions were strong, and there was a whole lot less corruption in the federal government. They're the ones that tell us how bad government is, but they're not willing to clean it up and make it less corrupt. Now, some of them, it's true. Trump gave them permission to be bullies and to be racist at times. And hopefully Todd isn't a racist like that, okay? But I think a lot of these guys are talking about trade deals and the economy. And if so, you're voting for the wrong party. Start voting for the party that sticks up for unions and high taxes on rich people. We're not supposed to be creating kings and queens. That's one thing the founding fathers would have hated.
150%, right? Let's talk about what's happened to the middle class since whatever period of time, and generally I totally agree with the caller. It's in that gauzy view of the of the
black
50s
and white,
and
leave
60s.
it to Beaver.
Yeah, that whole view, which wasn't great for women or black people
Well, I was
at
going to
all.
say it was great for white people, but
it was great for
women knew their place, minorities knew their place, the gays, they knew their place. Trans, don't even get me going on any of that.
That didn't exist
right,
back then.
Of course not.
But if you want to talk about that sort of head of household, white middle class family where there was a man at the head of the household, that was a golden era. It was built
one income family.
Yes.
Oh, amazing.
And it was built on family supporting union-based jobs. It was built on infrastructure programs. It was built on the New Deal of Roosevelt, right? And coming out of the Depression. That was the greatest creation of middle-class wealth in our country's history. And it happened exactly as the caller said, because of democratic policies and programs that helped effectively ensure that those that were working, that were the engine of our economy, were paid fairly for their labors.
What a concept.
Right? And when you got sick, it didn't mean that your life and you would become bankrupt and your family's livelihood was forever lost. It didn't mean that when you became old, you would become bankrupt and not know where your next meal was coming from. It was built on good public education that was accessible to all white families, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what that meant. And those were democratic policies. And now note what I'm saying here, that these democratic policies didn't benefit black families. Yes, that's exactly right. Medicare, Medicaid, that excluded farm workers. That is still one of the greatest inequities in our country's economy. Farm workers aren't included in almost any labor laws in the United States. Guess who else are excluded? Domestic workers. So that would be women that take care of your kids, which back in the 40s, 50s, and 60s tended to be black ladies, right? People that clean your homes, right? All of these folks were excluded from those middle-class wealth creating programs. the GI Bill, all of the housing subsidies, all of that excluded basically Black folks. Anybody that worked in a field or raising kids or making meals for another family were excluded from those middle-class wealth-creating programs that the United States had. Also Democratic programs. So that's what we're
still
talking
needed
about.
tweaking. It still needed evolution to become more equitable, although maybe not even to the degree that we need it to be.
Again, look at me criticizing my own
Oh my
party
God,
from
what
the
are you
40s,
doing? How
50s, and
dare
60s. Who
you?
heard of such a
Oh my
thing?
goodness. Critical thinking. Let's not have any of that. 844-967-2789. Love it when you join us. Maggie Daun on the mic. Jim from Appleton. You will be next. Welcome, Jim. What do you got for us?
Hey, guys. I'm going to take us a little bit backwards to Tucker Carlson and Mr.
Sure.
Lemon. Does anybody know if they have non-compete clauses in their termination? Because it sure would be wonderful to not hear their voices for a year or two.
Little pause on the Tucker Carlson
Right.
racist rage machine, right? So NDA is really interesting question, especially when you get into the media. I am not an expert on NDAs within the media. I do know that there were some cases from back in sort of the heyday of the studios where actors and actresses were almost like indentured servants
right.
to studios, and there were some cases that came up. I also know that's why we're facing a writer's strike, in fact, currently out of Hollywood, why people, when they talk about having their SAG card, their Screen Actors Guild, that unions in the entertainment industry are in fact a huge deal, and that doesn't exempt media personalities at all. Typically, there's some sort of financial arrangement that precedes these exits, even if the firing is somewhat unexpected. It's either been dealt with in a clause of their contract
Right.
going in, or they effectively get in a room and
Cut a
hammer
deal.
one out.
Yeah.
That's correct, because the media personality needs to be able to work. And generally speaking, courts do not look favorably upon, I'm sorry, not an NDA, a non-compete clause. I misspoke earlier. A non-compete clause that effectively render one employable or unable to work as a result of the non-compete. So they typically just figure out what the number is.
And go forward from there. Thank you for the call, Jim. Great question. 844-967-2789. Let's keep going down the line. Fred, you are next. Welcome to the Devil's Advocates. Fred, what do you got for us?
Thank you, guys. Hey, I'm going to go back a few things about hosts for the Fox Network.
Yes. Now that Tucker's gone, they're going to recycle hosts through one of their shows that will play at the 8 o'clock hour.
Well, that's good. I think Green would be a good one.
Oh, the MTG? Put on Marjorie Taylor Greene?
Yeah.
Oh, I love the idea. Maybe we can all sue Fox News again in like the next quarter, see if we can clear another $1 billion off the top. Go ahead.
Exactly.
Who else
But
should
Fred,
host Fox?
doesn't she have a day job, though? Although I hear she's got a podcast.
Yeah, makes sense.
The other one I'm thinking about is CJ.
Ooh.
Oh, there you go.
Love it. CJ, call Fox News.
Yeah. I mean, let him spiel that out, whatever.
Yeah, he knows all the talking points.
I was going to say, he'll slide right in there.
Yeah, he's got it all down pat.
I don't think he has that curious look in his eye, though, Fred. I mean, there's only so many ways you can stare, inquisitively to the camera.
Well, he could wear a Trump mask or something then.
I don't know. That Tucker face is like that je ne sais quoi cross between like smug, angry, and incredulousness, right? Like, I don't know if anybody's going to be able to do Ivy League smug incredulousness.
That is his superpower.
We've only heard CJ on the radio, so we don't know what he's capable of doing face-wise.
I have no doubt in CJ's capabilities to be smug.
You gotta wonder. Hey, thanks for the call, Fred. Appreciate it. Let's keep going down the line. 844-967-2789. Dana, La Crosse, Wisconsin. Welcome, Dana. What do you got?
Hey, you guys. What do we got? The Maggie Daun show today, huh?
Maggie Daun show, right?
I love it.
You guys didn't fire Curdy today and just not tell us about it.
Well, it is Fire the Jerk Day. April 24th.
Say, I got a theory about Tucker, but first I just want to address Todd. there. Todd, as far as make America great again, he says America is great. You know, it might be for him, but it's probably only about 3/5 great for blacks. So keep that in mind.
Yeah.
You know, they always throw out these words like we're not a democracy, we're a republic, and all that stuff. They don't know what any of those words
No,
mean. They just pick
define
that
republic and define
They just pick it
democracy.
up off
Todd.
of, yeah. We're a representative democracy.
Correct.
That's what we are. They just pick those phrases off their comment threads. Jay, theory I have about Tucker. What do you think that, you know, Fox News, I think they know Trump is not a winner. I think they know DeSantis is weak. And I'm wondering if it's possible they work this all out and Tucker gets to play a martyr and maybe he's going to run.
Oh, Dana. Like the way you think.
Just made me like physically ill.
I mean,
Ugh.
he's got
Maybe
a
this is
following, right, Dana?
all- Yeah, he's got a following, and I mean he's their number one guy. And this theory has been spinning for a while, and I think this might solidify that a little more. I mean, it's definitely speculation, but I mean the other two guys, they're not going to win. There's no way they're going to win.
Yep.
Take your thoughts. You guys have a great night.
Thanks for the call, Dana. Great points. Maggie, what do you think?
I do think, you know, Trump is a weak candidate, but he's got such fierce support within the party. You would almost need a Tucker-like persona to take on Trump. It's an interesting theory, you know, like watch this space. DeSantis is just terrible.
See the head bobbing going on overseas?
Oh.
It was just, it's strange. He got such strange body vocabulary.
Well, and listen, it's Thai food, Dom. Did you know about the Ron DeSantis Thai food test?
No.
Oh.
Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates. Maggie Daun tell you all about it. 844-96-PARTY.
The Devil's Advocates. They refuse to do math on the radio.
Dr. Michael Hicks, professor of economics, director of the Center for Business and Economic Research at Ball State University. This is troubling math all the way around. According to your mathematics, Michael, when do you think the great state of Wisconsin will get paid back on its investment?
Right. I mean, the answer is probably the answer is never.
My Shiro always goes the extra mile, stretches every dollar, puts others first. But now it's your time, Mom. Get free tips to help boost your retirement savings now at aceyourretirement.org.
Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Here's your Mad Radio forecast. Lows level off around 35 tonight under overcast skies with a slight chance for scattered showers. Northeast winds 5 to 10 miles an hour. Cloudy skies tomorrow, slight chance for scattered showers, highs around 49. Lows dip down to about 29 tomorrow night, partly cloudy skies. Mid-50s Wednesday, mid-60s Thursday. For Civic Media, I'm meteorologist Eric Height. Currently, it's 49 degrees.
The Devil's Advocates. Radio for the 99%.
And we're back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Last segment of the day with Maggie Daun. I've got Jim Santel sticking around with me tomorrow, so tune in for that. We've got the best friends over here at the Devil's Advocates. Oh, yes, let's do that. Maggie, it's been too long.
Yeah.
And my understanding, and I heard this through the grapevine. There's
a rumor.
I didn't hear this from corporate, but people came up to me and said, "Hey, is Maggie Daun getting a radio show?" I'm like, "What?" I hope so. Maggie, what's going on?
Yeah, it looks all indications point towards the positive. We were looking for an early May, first of May kickoff, but I think we're looking, and Sage and Mike, the CEO of Civic Media and the president of Civic Media, are looking to basically lock in their new lineup for the new media empire that is Civic Media. And I was really humbled to be asked to come back.
Nice.
And so it looks like I may be following the Devils Monday through Friday.
What? Fantastic. greatest lead-in show ever.
Couldn't agree
wait.
more.
Monday through Friday. Oh, Monday through Thursday. Well, what about Friday?
Yeah, Friday we all got to be done by 6 p.m.
Right.
But we'll replay out either one of my great classics from the Dawn of the Resistance or something that's very topical from that week.
Oh, that is fantastic, Maggie. I cannot wait. It'll be so much fun.
Yeah, and the real reason on Fridays is because, as you know, Civic Media really wants to be homegrown talk radio for every city, every village, every township in Wisconsin. And so in most of the places that we're going to be playing out, we're going to be looking to high school football, other local sports events to fill in. Who wants to listen to me when you can listen to Friday Night Lights, wherever you may be from? So in a hat tip to keeping it local here at Civic Media, that is the plan. Really looking forward to it.
That is awesome, Maggie Daun. Look forward to that. We will have so much fun.
Yes,
we
indeed.
always do. We have fun with our audience as well. 844-967-2789. Let's get back to the phones. Bob from Minneapolis, you're next. Welcome, Bob. What do you got for us?
Howdy, folks.
Hey.
As far as when America was great again, I submit before all the white people showed up. How about that?
Right.
I mean, it had great lumber forests. There was already,
sustainability.
Civilizations here, and I mean, it was
mathematics.
What? But wait,
complex calendars.
No.
The concept of zero.
It was Columbus discovered.
Oh yes.
Yes, America.
Yes.
Bob, it's. I'm glad we don't have to have this conversation too much. I'm kind of surprised it actually come up. This has been a thing for a while, and if I recall, I've seen some "Make America Great Again" kind of like banners from old like Klan rallies back in the day. This is not a new slogan.
Yeah.
No, it's somewhat of a dog whistle for the right wing. So. Thank you, Maggie, for lighting Todd up, and thank you, Bob from Minneapolis. Great ideas, man. 844-967-2789. Tom from LA, the left coast. Welcome, Tom. What do you got for us?
Hey, guys. First off, we the people ultimately are the government, and that includes all of us.
Yeah, man.
Second, I'm going to tell you a little dirty secret a little bit about parts of Wisconsin or, just the idea that they think that, I won't say they because I don't want to make a generalization about everybody, but if they are in Green Bay and they see a black person, they think they're a Green Bay Packer. So therefore, all of a sudden, they think the black people in Wisconsin are like to be bowed down to. So therefore, they don't think they're racist. Now, when they talk about the Milwaukee black people, then they're like, yeah, there's something there. At least that's the way it was when I lived there. So, for Todd over there in Green Bay, he probably thinks that, black people have it great because most of the black people that he will see in Green Bay are going to be players for the Green Bay Packers. Like I said, just a little dirty secret there. I think you guys might be able to relate to that. Also, Maggie, congratulations on your show. I'm so excited.
Thank you.
I'll be looking forward to it. And,
Appreciate
and the thing about it is America is an experiment. It's a great experiment. And the thing is, we are supposed to speak out about problems that we have with certain, whether it's our country or whatever it is, because that's how we actually make things better for all of us. I mean,
redress, I think they call that, Maggie.
Yep.
Well, it's also called, I think it's also called justice. I mean, we also have to have justice. I still go back to George W., which is George War Criminal Bush, is what I call him. In terms of, we've had a lot of sins that we really haven't had justice for over the years. Okay? And we really do need to clean up our own backyard. And clean up some of the sins that have been from the past, and the original sin being slavery.
The legacy sins, Tom. Hey, thank you for the call. We appreciate it, man. And I totally concur. There's a lot of making up to do.
Well, and I think isn't that you look at any major power at any point in time in world history, and mistakes will be made.
Certainly.
When you are a nation, you wield armies, right? You wield weaponry in pursuit of your nation's interests. there will be mistakes made. There is no perfect battle. There is no perfect war fought. I just think it's high time we stop fighting ourselves, right? Fighting about our history and instead observe it. I have no doubt, and I actually give Todd and CJ a heck of a lot of respect for coming on and saying what they want to say and trying to engage. They know they're going to have a hard time, and yet they still call and put forward their viewpoint. I say bravo to that. That is actually what the whole thing is about. And most of us, no matter where we're from, we want the same things. Connecting about the things that we want and trying to allow that we can have a good faith disagreement about how we achieve those things or how most efficiently or most effectively or whatever the metric is. That begets a totally different argument.
Yeah, but good faith is a very specific thing.
It really is. Telling me that I like pedophiles or want to defend pedophiles or accusing me of hating America because we want to engage in those critical conversations. I say that, man, that's where we lose it.
Yeah.
We lose it when Tucker says that women can't do science well, right? That those kinds of things. We're better than that. I like to say, come on, man.
Come on, man.
Use the Earl Ingram.
But Tucker
Come
Carlson,
on, man.
It's Tucker Carlson. I mean, who the hell cares? I mean, really? I mean, okay, so he's been on he's been in front of the camera. He's been in front of the mic for a long time. He's a personality. What is Tucker Carlson an expert in? Why does Tucker Carlson's opinion about anything? I mean, hell, even just as less like me. It doesn't matter. I mean, he has a perspective. I have a perspective. You have a perspective. If you want to engage in good faith discussions, I think a lot of people are down for that. But when you're just, gaslighting everything and repeating, talking points, that's not good faith. And I would say one thing, I think we're seeing that play out at least a little bit here with the elections of Wisconsin's Supreme Court Justice Protesteo. It's the kids these days, they're not down for that, man.
Nope.
No, they understand. They want what they wanted. They want it. This is the TikTok, your phone, everything. It's your hand. And you're gonna listen to some Cleta Mitchell, some right-wing conservative attorney tell you it's too easy for you to vote.
And it's not easy. If it was easy, everyone would have a national freaking holiday and no one would have to work, Cleta. It would be on Saturday and people would get paid time off to do it, right? That would be easy, Cleta. If it was easy, you could roll up and vote, from basically anywhere. But that's not how we do it, Cleta.
I want to make it just a little bit harder.
A little bit harder.
It's easy when my pal Maggie Daun comes around the studio. Maggie, thank you so much. Let's go and have a good time. We're going to keep this party rolling. Folks, appreciate you listening. Crudy, I think he's coming back on Thursday. Got James Santel, former U.S. attorney, also fabulous friend and lawyer. He'll come around tomorrow. Maggie, thank you so much, sister. Look forward to hearing you on the air again.
Sounds good. Thanks, Dom.
All right, folks, have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow. I promise. I'm not Tucker.
Do you want Wisconsin to suck? I don't. That's why you listen to me now. I'm Hawk, owner of Hawk's Bar and Grill. Come to Hawk's and tell them you're there because Luke and Brian sent you. Then I can spend more money on ads and help Mad Radio keep Wisconsin from spiraling into post-apocalyptic Republican suckage. I mean, that's Iowa's job. Buy a round of Hawks and save Wisconsin one drink at a time.
Suck down drinks so we don't have to suck.
Okay.
Guys, let's